Well, it's February 2nd, 2026, 6:02 p.m. March, and I'm reading the wrong script. Okay. Good evening. It's 6:02 p.m. on March 2nd, 2026. I'd like to call this evening's City of Cheyenne Planning Commission to order. Will staff please call roll?
Megan Connor.
Present remotely.
Amy Hernandez. Lonnie Olson.
Here remotely.
Daryl Hibbins. Bob Mathia.
Here.
Tony Laird. Boyd Wiggum.
Present.
Mr. Chair, we do have a quorum.
Okay, thank you. Well, the first or second order of business is approval of agenda and minutes. Do we have any changes to the agenda as presented? Okay. And I will accept a motion on the minutes for the February 2nd, 2026 meeting.
So moved. I'll second.
Okay, we've got a motion to approve by Bob Matthias, second by Lonnie Olson. Are there any changes or amendments to the minutes requested? Hearing none. All in favor? This is just voice vote. Aye.
Aye.
Okay. Opposed, same sign. Motion carries. Any disclosures of conflicts or anything for any of the items on the agenda tonight? Okay. Will staff please read item A into the record?
Item A, PUDC-26-7, 2900 Central Avenue, zone change.
Will the applicant please present your proposal?
Chairman, Planning Commission members, Brad Emmons, AVI. I am going to speak on this item and the next item because it kind of makes more sense when they're going at the same time. But before you is the zone change from MR to NR2. This is an existing, looks like a townhouse complex, but currently it's actually all on one lot. So it's currently acting as apartments. The applicant and owner, 2900 Central Avenue LLC, is looking to convert it to townhouses using the cottage lot section so that they can sell these individually. They can, if we get the zone change in the platting, it allows the purchasers of the property to get 30-year fixed regular mortgages on the property. If we were to condo them, which is the other option, you end up with a 20-year variable rate mortgage. So trying to make it more or a better project for the future purchasers of the project by allowing them to get 30-year fixed mortgages on the property. If this project, once this is done, will still require a site plan. So we're not completely done when we get the zone change and plat. We will be submitting that site plan shortly to go through all the rest of the cottage lot criteria. Happy to answer any questions of the commission.
Thank you. Any of the commissioners have questions? Commissioner Thea?
You have an HOA that's going to watch over the...
Mr. Chairman, through you, one of the conditions of the things is will be a association, and also you have to have a common owned lot. So the open space, the front yards, the outdoor space between the back of the units and the garages will all be controlled by that owner, that group, and they'll all actually, in this case, have a ownership in that so that it will keep it funded through that system where the they all will include their property taxes of the open space. So all go through since they have undivided interest in that open space.
Any further questions? Any questions from the commissioners participating via Zoom? Hearing none, will staff please present your report?
And Mr. Chair, I'd just like to note that Commissioner Laird is online. I just didn't
Okay, thank you.
realize it was him due to the different name on Zoom, but I did ask in chat and he is online.
So for the record, we have 5 commissioners present.
Correct.
Thank you.
All right. For the record, Connerway Planning and Development Department. This project is a zone change. It's located northwest of the intersection of East 29th Street and Central Avenue. The current zoning is medium density residential. And on the future land use map, it is urban residential. The surrounding area is medium density. There is some MUB to the south east. You do have public zoning to the south and a little bit to the east as well. And then the rest is MR. The applicant is requesting a zone change to NR2, which is neighborhood residential medium density. The NR2 does allow for cottage lots as a use by right. In the MR zone, it would be a conditional use. So I guess without the zone change, they could go for that to the Board of Adjustment rather than coming to the commissioners for a zone change. But having to do a plat coming here as well with the zone change on top of that is a little bit easier. Also, this area does kind of conform to the NR2 zone. NR2, basically any of the NR zones kind of looked at basically restricting parking and access to basically the rear off of alleys. Most of the older neighborhoods are usually rear access from alleys. Same thing with this project. They've got the garages off the alleys, so the NR2 does restrict basically access to that. So it's not changing basically how the lot already operates. Most of the neighborhood is already this way. So NR2 would actually fit for a lot of the neighborhood rather than just the single lot. Again, cottage lots is the use that they're looking at due to the next item on the agenda, which is the plat. Cottage lots is permitted in the NR2. So it would allow them basically to have the lot configuration that they're proposing to allow each individual existing unit to be on its own lot so that it's a fee simple lot and can be sold off individually rather than this be considered one multifamily parcel. Through staff's review, we do find that it meets all the review criteria and we would recommend approval of this zone change to NR2. And with that, I'm available for any questions.
Commissioners, any questions for staff? Any of the commissioners participating via Zoom have questions for staff? Okay, I guess I have a question, and I guess it's predictable. Would staff please address any spots zoning analysis that occurred, since I do not see any NR2 adjacent zoning?
Mr. Chair, staff wouldn't consider this spot zoning. It is a residential zone, just like the surrounding residential zone. It's just a different type of residential zone. So we have 6 residential zone districts. So we do have the LR, MR, HR, NR1, NR2, NR3. All those are residential zones. The urban residential future land use map designation would expect that any of those residential zones would work for basically the urban residential future land use designation. So when staff reviews these residential zone changes, we don't really consider them spot zoning as the area is already residential. It's just turning it to another residential zone. And again, we also looked at the fact that really we could go back and rezone this entire neighborhood to NR2, and it would make sense because again, NR2 looks more at kind of smaller lots, condensed urban development, and also rear loaded access for properties, which is much of the avenues area, or even this area, which is, I guess, not, depends how you look at the avenues, if you consider south of Pershing avenues or not. But similar development in the area where it was predominantly rear loaded access, smaller lots. So we don't really consider this as staff to be spot zoning because it is just another residential zone district.
Would it be fair to say that zoning is maybe even more reflective of the existing development than the MR zone?
Mr. Chair, through you, I believe staff would agree with that. That is, and I would like to add that I think that was the thought back when the UDC was also being developed, is technically they should have gone back through and rezoned areas of the city to add the NR zones into various locations, but never did. So the NR zone would probably be more reflective of what is currently in this area than the existing MR.
Okay, thank you. Any of the other commissioners have questions for staff? Hearing none. Or is there any member of the public who would like to comment on this item? Public comment going once, public comment going twice, 3 times. Public comment is closed. Commissioners, any comments, or are you ready to offer a motion? Or did I mess up? Do I need to offer to allow the applicant to
You're good.
respond? Okay.
We already did public comment.
You can offer, but it's not a necessary thing right now.
Okay. I'm waiting for either comments or a motion.
I move to approve the rezoning of 2900 Central Avenue Townhomes to NR2 Neighborhood Residential Medium Density as shown in the attached zone change map, noting that the project meets the review criteria for approval.
I've got a motion.
I'll
Do I have a
second.
second? Was that Commissioner
That's
Olson?
funny. Yeah.
It's been moved by Commissioner Mathey and seconded by Commissioner Olson. Discussion from the commission? Amendments to the motion? Hearing none. Will staff please call roll?
Megan Connor,
Yes.
Tony Laird, Tony, if you are on, you do need to unmute. Just as an FYI.
Okay, can you hear me now?
Yes.
I vote yes.
Lonnie Olson,
Aye.
Bob Mathia.
Aye.
Mr. Chair, that motion passes.
Okay, thank you. And for the record, can you please read item B into the record?
Item B, PUDC 26-8, 2900 Central Avenue, expedited plat.
Okay, thank you. Would the applicant like to supplement your comments or your presentation?
Mr. Chairman, through you again, Brad Emmons, AVI. I did receive one phone call and went through the project with them and they were okay with it. So just wanted to pass that along that I did get one public comment on the project.
Thank you. Staff, I guess any questions for the applicant from the commission before we move on to staff report? Staff report, please.
Chair, members of the Commission, Conroe Planning and Development Department. This plat is same location as the previous zone change. So northwest of the intersection of East 29th and Central Avenue. Again, the property is currently zoned MR, and it is surrounded by MR and then urban residential on the future land use map. The applicant is proposing replatting this one parcel. It's about 0.5 acres into 17 lots for fee simple ownership of the townhouse units. So this is an existing development. It's basically multifamily at this point, but it's built in a townhouse style. So this plat would divide each of the units onto their own property that would allow them to basically be sold off, and then an HOA would handle the common lot. With this plat, this would end up being considered cottage lots, which again is permitted in that NR2 zone. Otherwise, it would require conditional use in the MR. And then it does require a site plan to basically show the common space and the amenities for that. Through the review, staff does recommend approval of this expedited plat. I would like to note there was a condition in the staff report, and that was to add the block number to the face of the plat. That has been done. We did receive resubmittal, and that block number is on there. So that's no longer needed in the motion. So I do have the correct motion up on the screen, which is basically if you just cut off anything after governing body. So there is no condition. So staff does recommend approval without that condition, and I stand for any questions.
Okay, thank you. Any questions from the commission for staff? Hearing none, is Commissioner Laird able to speak or attempting to speak?
I am able, I think, but I'm not attempting to.
Okay, thank you. Just checking. Just a quick question. You mentioned an HOA and a common lot. Would you please educate us or the public about that? What's going on there?
So, Mr. Chair, through you, with plats of this nature that create a common lot, there is a requirement for platting that some sort of documentation be provided of how that common lot is going to be maintained. In this case, we were provided a draft kind of HOA document for that common lot. So each ownership, or basically each owner, will be part of that HOA that will then work to maintain that common open space. But that is a requirement of platting. They do have to show and provide some sort of documentation as to how that common space will be basically kept.
And as I understand it, looks like that's lot 17 and basically the parking lot.
Mr. Chair, through you, so that would be lot 17. There is actually no parking lot. There's just the garages with driveway up to them. The rest of it would just be open space, green area. But again, all that will also be documented with a site plan, which is basically existing conditions.
Okay, thank you. Hearing no other questions or any other questions from the commission? Hearing none. Is there any member of the public who is here who wishes to comment on this item? Going once, going twice. Public comment is closed. And the chair is looking for a motion. Is there any way?
Put up the motion.
Chair,
Yes, Commissioner Laird Olson.
I move to approve the 2900 Central Avenue Townhomes preliminary plat, advancing the final plat to the governing body.
Thank you. I've got a motion. Is there a second?
Second.
Okay, second by Commissioner Mathia. Any discussion by the commission regarding the motion that's on the table? Hearing none. Will staff please call roll?
Lonnie Olson,
Aye.
Megan Connor,
Aye.
Bob Mathia,
Aye.
Tony Laird.
Aye.
Mr. Chair, that motion passes.
Okay, thank you. Staff, please read item C into the record.
Item C, PUDC 26-25, Harmony Valley Apartments, zoning map amendment.
Will
Chair, through you, John Sayers with representing True Grit Land Development. This particular piece of land already has a site plan submitted to the city, I think over a year and a half ago. We've corrected it. It's been revised and resubmitted recently. In order to do this, we looked at with staff, and we're taking it out of the PUD like we did in Harmony Valley Fifth, which we'll explain on the next zone change. This piece particularly was to go ahead and get it to match in. So we hit the parking and the alley or the layout of the buildings as so forth on this particular property. Basically, it just took it to where we were going to have to do office space and so forth. And by the NR3, it didn't require it from the PUD. The PUD was done, and don't quote me, but I want to say, Connor, you're going to have to help me, or Seth, because I didn't do it. But it was way back in 2020, I believe. And the PUD was based on less stringent rules at the time than the city had for the particular zoning areas. So the owner at the time had chose to do the PUD. Since working through the PUD, and city staff has modified a lot of the zoning in the area, we went ahead and trying to move this to NR3 simply just to get it back into compliance with less of the restrictions that were heavily more impacted on the PUD than in the current NR3. We did this exact same situation, and we'll explain further, but over off of York, we went through when we did Harmony Valley Fifth filing in order to make the cottage lots and so forth. We went ahead and changed it out of the PUD to make the requirements so we could do alley loads on attached dwellings over there. So I'm happy to address any comments. This site plan is the city, but we are moving with this piece and hopefully an expedited plat, either this next submittal or the following one for that one. That would take into account the common open space and then each particular building.
Okay. Commission, do any of the commissioners have questions for the applicant? Hearing none, but I've got a question. What specific regulation did you have in your PUD that you are being able to get out of by pulling this parcel out of the PUD and going back to a city zone?
Mr. Chair, through you, it quantified the number of units available. So by taking it out of the PUD and going back to the NR3, we only gained 8 units out of this particular unit, plus the availability for garages on the site and no office or office manager on site. And that's it. I think there was a couple of more, but I didn't bring that forward with us today.
Any other questions from the commission? Okay. That staff, please present your report.
Morgan Dennis, Planning and Development. This is a zone change request for Lot 1, Block 1, Harmony Valley 4th filing from Harmony Valley PUD to NR3 zone district. The surrounding zoning for this parcel is MR to the north, Harmony Valley PUD to the east, County Light Industrial to the west, and County Land Use to the south that contains single-family residential dwellings. The future land use map designates this area as mixed-use commercial. This designation supports more commercial or live-work developments that could be activity centers. The residential developments are typically secondary in this designation and should be high-density developments. This site is also located at the intersection of South Parley Boulevard and West College Drive, two arterial streets. Traffic from these streets could be higher than desired in residential areas. NR3 zone is intended to be used for high-density urban residential uses with regulations to protect neighborhood character and residential use of the land. Application of this use not near planned activity centers or concentrations of density without walking access to non-residential uses and quality urban amenities should be avoided. Due to topography and current developmental patterns, it is not a walkable area at this time. The Harmony Valley PUD outlines this area as high-density residential. This designation allows for intense development, commercial and high-density residential permitted per the PUD. Then the proposed zone allows for. The more optimal zone for this area is the MUB mixed-use business zone. This zone accomplishes the future land use map objectives as it allows commercial and high-density residential development. This corridor lacks commercial zoning as there is a lot of residential development in the area. MUB is a combination of NR3 and the NB zone, which allow for NR3 lot types and residential design standards. The comprehensive plan does support flexibility to adjust to market demands and supports development of housing to meet these demands. While the NR3 zone will limit overall allowable development action in this area, adding housing units will be meeting a market and developmental demands. With that, staff recommends approval of the zone change from Harmony Valley PUD to NR3. I stand for questions.
Mr. Chairman, through you, I am concerned about the fact that this, given the location of this, it would be perfect for, or pretty good location for some kind of commercial or business activity. And we're now converting it into residential. And I just wonder, where is the nearest business type or commercial activity?
Mr. Chair, through you, the nearest commercial corridor in this area is along, I believe, Greeley Highway. Is that the highway in that area? Yeah, it would be over in that area.
Chair, through you to Commissioner Mathia, and in addition, regarding the commercial at that area is very limited in future growth with residential, so it would be kind of on the fringe. So in looking at the analysis here, for modifying where commercial would go, we'd really like to see that focus more in areas where there is housing that is surrounding it. At that Parsley and College Drive area, you really have just the housing to the northwest and northeast and southeast. The northwest is primarily industrial, and then it tapers off quickly as more industry does start to pop up as you head further to the west.
Mr. Chair, through you. So you're counting housetops or rooftops, saying that there's not enough rooftops there to support.
Chair, through you to Commissioner Mathia, that's correct. Yes.
I've got a question for staff. Thinking about the PUD that was in place before, does removal of this parcel, and I guess I'll have the same question on the next item, does removal of this parcel from the PUD in any way undermine the philosophy behind the PUD or the integrity of the PUD that was supposed to be a little more comprehensive when it was adopted?
Mr. Chair, Seth Lloyd, Planning and Development Department. The PUD definitely had a vision for the area as a region, but at the same time, the PUD's essential characteristics are based on the street type and the park. So the street type down there has monolithic or curb gutter sidewalk attached, whereas the city standard was detached sidewalks. This area doesn't really have much in the way of street adjacent, and the street that is adjacent is already built. And then the park is also already built. So I don't believe this would detract from the portions of the PUD that have been developed. because they do have that street section in those residential single unit residential areas, and they do have that park that has been developed in that area. That also being said, PUDs often serve special purposes, and if those special purposes aren't needed or necessary, then it would be better to have standard city zoning. To be honest, staff is looking at some PUDs, especially along Bell Range, where whatever purpose they served back in the day, they don't really have that purpose anymore. And so we'd look to change those PUDs to standard zoning.
Okay, thank you. And a follow-up question, does this in any way affect any HOA that may have existed as part of the PUD, if one existed?
Mr. Chair, it's my understanding there is an HOA that is involved with Harmony Valley. I would let the applicant answer the question as to whether or not the HOA would extend to this parcel or not.
Okay. We'll do that a little later. Do any other commissioners have questions about this for staff?
Mr. Chair, through you, this is Tony.
Thank you. Go
I
ahead.
guess my question is more along the lines of, it doesn't seem to align now with the future land use plan. And I remember one of the early items we had in the commission when I became a member a couple of years ago was, I think it was the Edwards development around Story and Converse. We actually had an action to change the future land use map. Does staff feel that that's appropriate, or do they think this aligns well enough?
Staff.
Mr. Chair, members of the Planning Commission, certainly the MUB zoning would be a more optimal zone in this location that would align with the future land use map precisely. The future land use map does recommend commercial mixed with high intensity residential, and by zoning MUB, that would allow for the mix to continue, whereas zoning NR3 does not allow for the mix with commercial. However, MUB zoning would also allow apartments or multifamily development as a use by right. Certainly, as staff, we would prefer to see the MUB zone at this location over the NR3 zone. But at the end of the day, the MUB zone would also allow apartments. And we also have urban residential designations sandwiching this parcel to the north and south. And the future land use map is not supposed to be a second zoning map. It's kind of something that you look at with blurred lines or fuzzy lines, as it were. So this parcel is kind of on the edge of that future land use designation. Certainly a case could be made that MUB, this zone should really be MUB as opposed to NR3, but staff thinks NR3 is acceptable for this location.
Commissioner Laird, was that adequate? Do you have any follow-up questions?
No, I think I understand.
Okay. Any of the other commissioners in Zoom land have questions for staff? Okay, hearing none. Is there any member of the public who is here? I'll finish with you. Is there any member of the public who is here to comment on this item? Public comment going once, going twice. Public comment. Is there any public in Zoom land? I haven't asked that in the past. Okay, public comment is closed. Does the applicant want to come forward and address a couple of the issues that came up during the staff questions, please?
Mr. Chair, through you, John Sayers again for True Grit Land Development. So we have no intentions of putting business over in this area because the need for housing on the south side is tremendous at this point with the amount of phone calls we are fielding on a regular basis with everything increasing. This piece of land had always been designed to be apartment complex along there. So it acted as a buffer in between, as we already have apartments pretty much along that stretch. In regards to commercial, staff did indicate, yeah, South Greeley is your closest real commercial. Less, there is a campground south of us over there, but it's intermixed. And then there's residential completely to the south of us as well. So there has been no intentions of putting any mixed use business over in that area with that idea. We have already contracts working towards getting the 524s that we have in play over in that area. Those individuals would also have to join the HOA so as to help maintain the park area. So everything by the guidelines of what was the original PUD per se is still all donating towards the park and maintenance of all the open space areas that we have in that area. So no one is blighted by not taking care of that and/or from that situation. I will say, just like we did on Richard Martin, we replatted that a while back. Those individuals got hit one more time for a separate HOA over the top, only because they have an alley behind them. And so we went ahead and they are part of the full HOA, but they are the only ones that would maintain the alley behind because it is only to their benefit. So that is the only way that we go about maintaining certain areas even more so. So nobody would maintain this particular area. It would be the HOA for these 5 buildings. The HOA for the park and open space further up is all taken care of by everybody else at that point, if that answers your questions.
So to clarify, you're saying that this is an HOA. It has an HOA that's going to take care of their parking, but they are not going to contribute to the park, or they are going to contribute to the park that is part of the rest of the PUD.
Mr. Chair, through you, they will contribute to the park, which is privately owned and not
Thank
through
you.
the city.
Okay, and just for the record, did I hear you correctly state that by going this route with this rezoning, you were able to gain an additional 8 housing units relative to what was available under the PUD?
Mr. Chair, through you, that is the case, along with not having a manager's office and so forth. That is not necessary based on the ownership of the building having its own ownership for individual lease and rent.
Okay, thank you. Any other questions for applicant to clean? Well, I guess you addressed the questions that were. Did we miss any questions that were reserved for the applicant? Hearing none. I guess I'm listening for either a discussion to inform a motion or a motion, please, from the commission.
Mr. Chair, this is Tony.
Mr. Laird? Yes.
I move to approve the rezoning of Lot 1, Block 1, Harmony Valley, 4th filing to NR3, Neighborhood Residential, High Density, as shown in the attached zone change map, noting that the project meets the review criteria for approval.
Thank you. Do I have a second?
Second.
Seconded by Commissioner Mathia. Any discussion on the motion on the table from the commission?
Mr. Chair, through you, this is Tony.
Commissioner Laird.
I'm kind of disappointed that there's not going to be some kind of commercial development here, because I'm just really concerned about this whole big area. It seems like all the commercial development is being concentrated along South Greeley Highway and nothing dispersed further away. And like we talked about before, this is fairly high density housing, a lot of people living near here, and they're a pretty long way at this point from South Greeley Highway. There's obviously some interstate type services over at the I-25 interchange, but I don't think this is the appropriate time, I guess, with this action to. I don't think there's any way this commission can force that, and this developer could build the apartments with slightly less density and those other requirements under the PUD, and it sounds like that's what they were originally planning to do anyway, with no commercial. I have kind of the same concern 2 items from now when we're talking about the intersection at Walter Scheid and Allison, which also seems like an opportunity with 2 major roads for some kind of commercial retail type development. But anyway, I will support the motion kind of reluctantly.
Any further discussion or amendments to the motion on the table? Hearing none. Will staff please call roll?
Tony Laird,
Aye.
Bob Mathia,
Aye.
Megan Connor,
Aye.
Lonnie Olson.
Aye.
Mr. Chair, that motion passes.
Thank you. And as a kind of a follow-up, do we have an update of the community plan that would address kind of future land use and anticipated commercial, addressing kind of the broader area before we read the next item into the record?
And Chair, members of the Planning Commission, it's presently stuck behind farm-related ordinances and stuff like that. That's become our priority recently, drafting agricultural rules and regulations. So it's slightly delayed.
Okay, thank you. But it's something that we may be able to address here sooner rather than later. Okay, thank you. Will staff please read item D into the record?
Item D, PUDC 26-27, Harmony Valley zoning map amendment.
Will the applicant please come forward?
Mr. Chair, John Sayers, again, representing True Grit Land Development. So I kind of need to go back through a little of the history with this. What you're looking at is the last piece of land that was in the PUD. We did not choose to go ahead and pull that out of the PUD previously because we didn't need to when we were doing what is known as Harmony Valley Fifth Filing. Harmony Valley Fifth Filing is the lots that are directly north of York, as you can see, that have roads and alleys off the rear. The reason we chose to do that was the product that we are looking at is cottage lots that have alley load. It allowed for smaller, denser lots than the actual PUD zoning we had in play at the time. In working with staff roughly a year ago, we were able to go ahead and plat this piece of land, get it recorded, and it is what you see today. Tomorrow morning, we have a meeting at BOPU for pre-con, so we will start construction on that next week to move forward with those lots that are desperately needed. With that said, we went forward at this time so we can put in the next plat, which would be Harmony Valley 23rd filing. The 23rd filing will take into account Carol Ann Way, moving all the way over to what is Grand Harmony Boulevard, as well as Danny Place. Subsequently, all the alleys that are in play will extend over to Danny Place, as well as putting in some different lots only for our twin home product that is attached and our single family attached products that fit the price point for what we are seeing people able to buy and be a first time home buyer with that product. The piece of land that shows the two big pieces left over is part of the 23rd filing. There is no intent at this time whatsoever. It's not even designed in the plat to bring forward any apartment complexes in this area. We are working on 196 lots that vary from 41.5 feet wide to 97 feet deep on a common lot line that will go ahead and have that attached for the units to be provided for that area. I know this map doesn't show it as well, and I wish I could have brought you the other, but we literally were in meetings till this meeting tonight, trying to tighten up some of the details on that. But there is green space in between the areas. So you'll have a situation where you have a road, the front door must face the road. Then the alley load is where the residents would actually pull into the backside of the unit. Then you can see on the flip side that you'd have the alley would service both sides. And then we actually built in green spaces. So there's corridors for everybody to walk around in this area, as to continuing with what we did with the park area being its own park for this area, not a city park, all maintained by the residents of the area. That plat, it moves forward into submittal next Wednesday, and that will be the 23rd filing. So there will be 196 lots, strictly single family or attached dwellings at that point with no apartment complex, no trailer park, none of that stuff. We just weren't able to get it in fast enough to get that done as we were modifying it and working with the school district in regards to the topography out in this area. So to get back to our situation, the vacant land just to the west of there was zoned NR3 previous or PUD. When we went ahead and did the plat to keep everything uniform, we went ahead and did that zone to an NR3, knowing we were coming back in to continue those same exact lots all the way across. The intent is to get Grand Harmony Boulevard to go up parallel to the previous residential area to the east and get them an access to Allison to take some of the burden off the area and give them to where they don't have to go out to South Greeley. The other part of this that staff with city is working on is York is going to tie into Cribben. So it gives them the second to surround the junior high and high school up there at the time. And I believe that's supposed to let out at 2028. So we've been working on this with city staff for quite some time. All we are simply doing is doing exactly what we did before, PUD to an NR3 to make the residential lots fit for the cottage style lots because they did not fit previously. And that's why we went ahead with the Harmony Valley 5th filing. Subsequently, we will be doing the same thing with the Harmony Valley 23rd filing on the next Wednesday. Happy to address any questions.
Okay, thank you. Commissioners, any questions for the applicant? Any of the commissioners online? I guess I have one. Can you address in this instance that how many additional housing lots you're able to accomplish under the NR3 that wouldn't have been available within the PUD? Or have you done that calculation?
Mr. Chair, through you, I have not. And I will tell you the basis for that is that the idea was the idea of a 6,000 square foot lot. Those aren't selling. That's the biggest prime reason of why we've had to come back in and narrow these lots down. So again, I would reference our lot size is 41.5 feet wide by 97 feet deep for our attached single family dwelling product that has started to move rather well. We ran out of lots. The only other product that we would be putting over there is our twin home product that has sold tremendously. We just put 20 of those on LCG and we're not even finished construction and they're all sold out. So we're just trying to meet the market demand for the square footage and the price point that is allowable at that point. And that is the two products that we are flipping through there at that point.
Okay, just do we have any kind of a projected notion of how many total lots are going to wind up in what was the PUD, the Harmony Valley?
Mr. Chair, through you, I can give you only this number. So Harmony Valley 5th filing and the 23rd right now will be 308 lots. And the only reason I know that is I was doing lot counts prior to this meeting, doing my spreadsheet. The next phase is 196 and the 5th filing was 112. Okay. Not including the open space, green spaces that are in play as well. But that is the number for residential units, sir.
Okay, thank you. Staff, will you please present your report?
Morgan Dennis, Planning and Development. This is a zone change request for Lot 2, Block 10, Harmony Valley. First filing from Harmony Valley PUD to NR3. Surround zoning for this area is public and AG to the north, Harmony Meadows PUD to the east, mixed use business to the south, and public and an existing NR3 zone to the west. The AG zone to the north is undergoing a zone change as well. The future land use map designates this area as urban residential and with a small portion to the south being designated as mixed use residential. Both designations promote high density residential developments. This zone would be an extension of the existing NR3 zone. The current designation of this parcel within the Harmony Valley PUD is medium density, which is similar to the NR3 zone. This parcel is in between a school and an existing neighborhood, and while there is no activity center nearby, there is existing pedestrian networks in the area. With this application meeting review criteria, staff recommends approval for this zone change.
Okay, thank you, Morgan. Does the commission have any questions for staff? Commissioners online? Hearing none. Is there, I guess I should probably ask the same question I asked about the last one. Does staff have any concerns about pulling this out of the PUD? Does it somehow compromise the PUD to remove it? I think I know the answer, but for the record.
Mr. Chair, for the record, we do not. This section of the PUD is now disconnected from the other rest of the PUD. So it's kind of already anticipated to flex into something else, whether that's NR3 zoning or some other development pattern. It seems that the Harmony Valley PUD is basically just going to exist south and west of York.
Okay. Is there anybody from the public that is here that has comments regarding this item? Please come forward, sir. And please read and give us your name and address for the record.
Howdy, my name is Richard Hammett. I live at 1326 Concerto. I'm just on the eastern border of this property border. I just have a question. There are some very large power lines that run along that border. And I was just wondering, is there, and pardon me for not necessarily knowing the right terms, is there like an easement of where properties will not be built, or is it going to butt right up against the fence line for the existing?
Okay, thank you. And when we get to the point of calling the applicant forward, we can address that. For the record, this is on the zoning. This is not the platting, and I believe your question is a plat question, but we can ask the applicant. Any other members of the public have any comments? Yes, sir. Get your name and address.
Don Thomas, 1008 Concerto Lane.
Yes.
Did he say that he's going to try to direct more traffic onto Allison?
Well, we'll
when he spoke earlier,
he
mentioned something about Allison. I didn't get what he meant.
Okay. And any other comments, questions, concerns about that for the record?
Well, I want to know if that's what he's got in mind. Is he going to direct more traffic onto Allison that the high school kids think it's a racetrack?
That's already a problem?
Well, there's more to it.
Sir, if you've got other things that you want to bring up, I suggest you bring them up before I close public comment. Is that your lone question? Well, we'll get to the point where the applicant will come forward and address questions at the end. I don't want a bunch of back and forth. So if you've got other things, would you please present them, assuming the answer is yes? Okay, any other questions from the public, comments from the public? Sir, please come forward.
Hi, my name is Zachary Gherkin. I live at 1009 Concerto.
Okay.
So the property in discussion is basically my front window view.
Okay.
So when I heard about the zoning change, I was definitely concerned about, seeing in the writing high density. I thought they were going to pack in as many apartments as they could. So when you hear, split up to 196 parcels, pretty small lots, that's quite a bit more traffic through there. In the housing development next to it, there is a dead end that I would assume be connecting to this property once it's developed. My concerns are more vehicle traffic through there, along with his point of, or saying alleviating traffic going to college. You would actually need to alleviate traffic not going to Allison due to the school and the traffic that goes through there in the morning. I don't know if they've done a traffic study, but go there between 8 and 9 in the morning and you'll see it's a bottleneck between all these roads that connect in through here, going up Allison to the high school and the junior high, coming back down that hill to where that property, you know, what the line of the projected zoning change, it traffic goes all the way up to there. How those people going to get in or out? Not to mention that those roads aren't really very well maintained. They're usually pretty icy. I can't see unskilled drivers talking about the high school students stopping. I can see that being a potential problem. Not to mention, as far as the schools are concerned, everywhere in and around there and past college on the south side is all considered walking distance. So currently, you know, my kids walk through that field to get to the junior high or the high school. So that's another concern. Yeah, that's all I have to comment on.
Okay, thank you. Anybody else from the public wish to comment on this? Please come forward.
Howdy, sir. My name is Josh Brown. I live at 938 Concerto. My property butts right against the, my property butts right against the new zoning area. My concerns were actually alleviated mostly by the distinction that they're not planning on putting in a lot of big apartment complexes, but I do have some remaining concerns. Speaking towards the traffic portion of it, it's not just on Allison where this is going to cause potential issues. I want to make sure I say that correctly, potential issues. But there's a four-way stop at Walter Street and Leisure, which already bottlenecks in the morning and in the afternoon peak times. Stoplight at school zone to the south at college, which also bottlenecks at peak times. And then also the stoplight from Allison on to South Greeley, which also bottlenecks a lot during the day because of the businesses there. There's a concentration of businesses at the end of that street, along with the high school at the other end. If we have a large influx of residential units, I see this causing more traffic issues. I did note that there had been a thorough traffic analysis done when it was previously turned into a PUD from agriculture. I'm just wondering if there's going to be an updated traffic analysis insofar as how it'll be impacted. Secondly, I noted that even when it was turned into a PUD previously, there had been no mention of a capacity or a school capacity analysis. We're adding a lot of new residents there. The high school is kind of small, the junior high is kind of small, and we have Goins and Rossman there. They're both kind of small as well. I'm wondering if anyone's done any coordination with the school district to make sure that the schools aren't going to breach capacity, and if they are going to, if there's going to be any plans to make changes to the schools themselves to accommodate more students. And then the last one that I have is, has there been an analysis insofar as emergency services and their ability to reach these new areas and accommodate the new residents? So these are the concerns that I have currently. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Any other members of the public wish to comment on this item before we turn it over to try to respond to questions and comments? Public comment going once, public comment going twice. Public comment closed. I think I'd like to ask staff to address the questions, if it's appropriate, that were, I guess, more focused on staff issues, feedback from the school district, traffic study, updates, anything like that.
Mr. Chair, this is Seth Lloyd with the Planning
Yes.
and Development Department. I would note that our most recent understanding from the school district is that their long-range plans show a decrease in population of schools, even as Cheyenne may grow in population due to decreased number of families of school-age children, decreased number of children per family. The Mercer study that came out last year closed 8 elementary schools due to an anticipated decrease in need for those schools. As far as traffic impact studies, it's my understanding that we typically request those with plating actions as traffic analysis. We do have an engineer in the room that could address more detailed questions on that specific to this project if that is needed. I would note that the overhead power lines that run through the area do have easements over them. And I believe our applicant may have to deal with those easements as well. They will not be able to build structures of any type underneath those power lines. So they'll be restricted in development getting too close to the property next door, at least for the majority of that property line due to those easements. I anticipate that these are big enough and important enough power lines that our applicant will not try to underground them or relocate them. So I think those will stay right where they are. I believe a street stub was mentioned from Harmony Meadows into Harmony Valley. On analysis, it looks like that street stub was not graded to connect as a street. So we anticipate having that be a pedestrian connection as opposed to a full vehicular connection. So that way, this neighborhood, the Harmony Valley neighborhood and the Harmony Meadows neighborhoods could still walk to each other's, but they wouldn't have traffic driving from one neighborhood through the other. It is also our understanding that our fire department is aware of needs for fire department services and is actually looking at new locations for fire stations around the community as a whole. They've been doing some significant analyses. They already have closed 2 fire stations and built 2 new ones. Maybe it's 3. I think it's 3 new ones actually. So the fire department's very much aware of future growth patterns and future services that are needed. And so as this area develops, the fire department's very much aware of providing emergency services. I think that covers most of the questions. I would note that along a short-term goal of the city is to connect York to Cribben. As York goes up and through Harmony Valley, it will connect into Cribben, which is just west of South High School, which will likely change traffic patterns significantly in the area. We don't know exactly how that's going to change things, but that is on the radar of the city. Don't know exactly where it is in the status. I just asked our engineer previous to this, and I don't know if we have an update as to exactly when that will happen, but it's my understanding that is in process. I don't, generally speaking, with traffic and roadways, development along a roadway typically slows traffic down. Right now, Allison has some stretches that are pretty wide open, and that makes people feel like they can go faster. Increase it. I'm not saying that it will happen here. I'm just saying that that's general. The general rule is the more buildings, trees, other items that are in the view shed of a driver, usually the driver will go slower. I can't guarantee that will happen here, but I also can't guarantee that traffic will go faster or slower with more traffic at this location. That was expressed as a concern as far as speed on Allison goes. So the development may help that, but I wouldn't guarantee that. I just would note that that's traditionally what happens with development and traffic. I think that answers all the questions that I heard. Our applicant may have other answers to questions that it may be more appropriate for the applicant to answer.
And maybe as a follow-up before we get to you, to get to the applicant, I also heard concern about queuing traffic congestion, which would be a volume thing. Secondly, do I understand that if there's a plating action brought forward next Wednesday, I think I heard next Wednesday, that would be when the traffic study update would be part of that, correct?
Mr. Chair, the applicant has stated they're planning to submit a plat for the land that is at least part of the land that is associated with this request. That would come through the Planning Commission. If they submit before next Wednesday, they would be going to the May Planning Commission. So anyone who's interested in this project might want to circle the May Planning Commission date on their calendars. Due to the way our code is written, there is no mailed notice for plating action. And unfortunately, I don't think very many people read the newspaper and get the legal notice. So we'll go ahead and say that right here is we anticipate that would be a May Planning Commission item based on when the applicant has said they would submit. And so that would give more details as to exactly how that land would develop, how the streets would connect. Presumably a traffic documentation would be submitted with that plating action as well. But I'll let the applicant and possibly our engineer speak to that.
And for the record, I'm trying to look real quickly. That would be the May 4th Planning Commission. Am I correct?
Mr. Chair, that'd be correct. First Monday in May.
First Monday in May, 6 o'clock, presumably here. Okay. Would the applicant like to address any of the remaining outstanding questions? Some of which are traffic related, I believe.
Mr. Chair, through you, John Sayers addressing. So the first comment that was made was the power line easements. WAPA does have a 35-foot easement, both sides of the power poles that they just put in. So you cannot build within that area. If you did build within that area, which we just built the apartment complexes down to the south. We had to have WAPA verify that we were outside of it. Unfortunately, though, I can say that some of the houses that were constructed over in Harmony Meadows are in violation of the 35-foot easement, but that's not mine because we met with the WAPA engineers on site. In regards to traffic, so this is a touchy subject, but it's an interesting subject. So we want interconnectivity. We want to get people to move around. So we were asked a long time ago when we were doing the original 5th filing on the redesign of this to see if we can get Grand Harmony to go to Allison. So we complied. Now we're catching grief that we're going to put access onto Allison, which is exactly what would make sense because it's not going through Harmony Meadows because the whole entire Harmony Meadows has only 2 spots for them to get in and out of. That's it. So with Harmony Valley 23rd filing, you actually have multiple ways to get out in different areas. As I was talking with staff engineering and met with Tom Cobb last week, Tom has voiced to me, and because we're working on MOUs and understandings on a couple other things, the funding for York to go up to Cribben and complete that won't be available till 2028. But the engineer who already has designed and has that in play has, and I think at 90% complete at this time period. So that's already in the design process, but it's the economics to get it constructed at this point. And that's a separate project outside of our area. As to Allison, it is considered a major roadway in the area to feed all of those. So that is where the traffic needs to go. I can understand the concern for traffic, more particularly on the 4-way stop that you represented earlier. I wish some people in this town knew how to work a 4-way stop up by the fire station at the top of the hill there, because how more accidents don't occur in that situation and the stacking in the morning is ridiculous. And I'll be the first one. I literally travel that every day at the times that you pointed out. I can't understand how 2 cars can't go straight, 2 cars can't go straight, or simultaneously turn. They don't understand the rules. So that adds to the backup and staging. So I know I'm getting a smile, but yes, I've been a part of that in the mornings and it's frustrating to me. So that is the traffic situation. In regards to Melody Lane, I think it is, or Melody Loop, I'm not gonna, the connection that went to the west, there's no way to get that to tie into Grand Harmony, flat out because of topography. We've looked at multiple ways to make it happen and it's not. We deal with the trespassing on a daily basis. We put a fence up. We have stopped the kids walking through that area and asked them to go up and through a different area. We have begged, pleaded, and cried with the school district on the access of them cutting through the property, because actually it's a liability for us if they get hurt out there. There is no pedestrian pathway. It's just a vacant piece of land that's ours, and it's trespassing. So we kindly ask all the time, please don't travel through here, but it happens. So with these pathways that we're looking at putting in and trying to get access up to Allison, we're trying to eliminate a lot of that congestion, as everyone has asked. I mean, on one hand, we ask us to do certain things, and then others get upset. Traffic study was previously done. I know that we are looking into modifying how that looks. That's in the works at this point. In regards to schools, so we're bound by Laramie County School District. So I've been dealing with Triumph High School, South High School, and I believe, don't quote me, but Rossman over at Wallach and Division. They're trying to build the 5-6 over there right now. So we actually have ties to that as well. Been working with the school district and their construction department on that with all the different levels. The 5-6 is supposed to get started within the next year. And so that's going to eliminate some of that. As Seth Lloyd with planning pointed out, yeah, they've shut down schools and they're trying to figure out which ones are keeping open and not. I know most don't want to hear this. They probably should have put the 5-6 up by the junior high and by the high school for economic reasons, but they don't want to do that. So that lies the issue. If I may continue on, the emergency service situation is in play in the fact that in dealing with the city staff and the mayor, they are looking and have found potentially other land as all these annexations keep tying in as to where the next fire station is. The closest one is up there at the top of the hill by the tower. And so I know that that would be the first responding and closest units into this. I know there is mutual aid with District 1 on the south side as well. They have the station on South Greeley. So there is the emergency services as though it is being put into, it's already into the city. They are trying to figure out where they're putting another station, but it's going to depend on how much further south the annexations continue. I've been a part of that, trying to figure that out as well. I believe that takes care of almost everything that was brought up and asked. If I missed something, please courteously ask. I wrote my notes as we went through.
Okay, thank you. And I think we can confirm that the plan is for Grand Harmony to travel north and connect into Allison.
Yes, sir.
Okay. That was a direct question that was asked.
Yes.
Okay. Thank you. And would it be appropriate to ask city engineering to come forward, traffic engineering? I've got a couple of questions I think that flowed out of I think I know which questions we probably need to ask based on public comment.
Aaron Gates, city staff engineer.
Okay, thank you. We heard some questions about traffic concerns, traffic studies. We've got a zoning in front of us that's presumably going to increase the available residential lots to some degree. Do you have any concerns about what it's going to do to the traffic planning based on the additional residential lots that would be created with this zone change if it were to be adopted?
We do not have any concerns with the zone change, and that is something traffic study or traffic impact analysis would be required with the plating action.
Okay, and then that's what's coming up next, and that's when
correct.
You can confirm that. Okay, thank you.
All right.
And we've covered questions from the. Can I reopen public comment or for a follow-up question? Or no? Okay, well, I don't want to be out of order. Yeah, and that's what I'm trying to avoid. Okay. I closed public comment. That's what we were just discussing is procedurally. Yeah. Well, it was before I brought up staff to try to address the questions. Okay. And with that, commission. Do we have any discussion, or I'm looking for a motion?
I move to approve the rezoning of Lot 2, Block 10, Harmony Valley, first filing to NR3, neighborhood residential, the high density as shown in the attached zone change map, noting that the project meets the review criteria for approval.
Okay, I've got a motion, and I'll be
Second.
looking for a second. And before we get too far into this, just because I've got a restless a crowd here, I think most of the traffic questions that were posed and raised and the design, that will all be part of the platting action that is not before us tonight, but is scheduled for May. The only thing that is before the commission is the zoning, moving from what is essentially the PUD that was high density to this NR3. And all that's going to do is change the number of lots that are available. So, and I heard a second from Commissioner Laird, correct?
Yes.
Okay. And so we've got a motion on the table. Do we have any discussion or proposed amendments? Discussion from the commission. Hearing none. Will staff please call roll?
Lonnie Olson,
Aye.
Megan Connor,
Aye.
Bob Mathia,
Aye.
Tony Laird.
Aye.
Mr.
Okay.
Chair, that motion passes.
Okay.
And I would
Thank
just
you.
like to state for the record, just for those here in the room as well, this does go to city council next. So this is not the final meeting it would be at. So it's introduced at council next Monday and then goes through 3 readings at council.
Okay, will staff please read item E into the record?
PUDC 26-33 Allison property zoning map amendment.
Okay, and please feel free to come back in May when we get to talk about what you want to talk about. Okay, thank you. Will the applicant please come forward?
Mr. Chair, John Sayers, representative for True Grit Land Development on number 3 for us tonight. Previously, we were contacted that this piece of land originally was AR. We moved it to AG. It was in county zoning. We moved it back to city zoning and proper designation. At that time, we did bring forward a site plan for potential work camp. I need to make sure the record is clear. We are not building a work camp or building anything at this time period. The only thing is that we have had multiple parties contact us in regards to possible uses for this land. And the best fit that we have seen at this time period is NR3. I understand through this conversation tonight that many people would like more business over there. Well, the problem is if we bring more business into the area, now you have more traffic, then you have even more problems than the ones that we already have incurred and or screaming and yelling or frustration and pounding hands. At this time, we do not have a clear definition of what we are planning on moving forward with this. We have had multiple parties reach out to us with possible ideas. I have not been privy to those at this time period, but it was recommended that at this time period, we simply go forward with NR3. It's the next step towards potential of somebody coming on board and whether or not they submit a site plan based on residential or how that may fit. I can't answer that because we do not know at this time. But with it being no zoning at that time, at this time period, leaving it in agricultural, it leaves it to them doing another step. And we're just trying to go ahead and move forward at this time to get it to match across the street and move forward. And happy to take any questions.
Okay, thank you. Are there any questions from the commission for the applicant? Questions? Hearing none. Staff, please present your report.
Morgan Dennis, Planning and Development. This is a zone change for a parcel located northwest of the intersection of West Allison Road and Walter Scheid Boulevard from AG to NR3. The surrounding zone for this parcel is County A1 to the north, Harmony Valley and Meadows PUD to the south, County Urban Residential Low Density that is currently being annexed into the city and would be designated MR to the east, and Public and MR to the west. Harmony Valley PUD parcel. The Harmony Valley PUD parcel to the south is undergoing a zone change to NR3. If that was to be approved, NR3 would not be isolated zone in this area. Future land use map designates this property as mixed-use commercial. This designation supports more commercial or live-work developments that could be activity centers. Residential developments are typically secondary in this designation and should be high-density developments. This lot is located at the intersection of Allison Road and Walter Scheid Boulevard, two high-traffic streets. This results in higher volumes of traffic than might be desired in residential areas. The optimal zone for this area would be the MUB mixed-use business zone, although a mix of commercial and high-density residential zones may also accomplish the comprehensive plan objectives. Based on the policies and future land use map, NR3 is not the most appropriate for this area. The intersection is lacking in commercial zoning, and through commercial zoning, even though commercial zoning exists less than 200 feet to the northeast of the subject property. This parcel is not located near any activity center, but has commercial development to the east and schools nearby. Pedestrian amenities, including the greenway, are in the area. The comprehensive plan does support flexibility to adjust to market demands and supports the development of housing to meet these demands. While the NR3 will limit overall allowable development action within the area, adding housing units will meet market and development demands. With this application meeting review criteria, staff recommends approval for this zone change. I stand for questions.
Does the commission have any questions for staff?
Mr. Chair, through you, this is Tony.
Go ahead.
I just wanted to verify both Allison Road here and Walter Scheid are arterial roadways.
Oh, yeah.
Mr. Chair,
we've got our traffic engineer coming.
We'll defer to the traffic engineer.
Aaron Gates, staff engineer. Allison is a major collector.
Okay. And Walter Scheid is an arterial?
Minor arterial.
Minor arterial. Okay. Thank you. Does that answer your question, Commissioner Laird, or do you have follow-up questions?
No, it does answer my question, but I'm a little concerned about the robustness of the traffic network in this high growth area of the city.
Staff, do you have a particular question we can pose to staff about that?
No, not in particular. I just wanted to know what the plan was now. It's probably not necessarily, other than comment, not necessarily our role to wonder about the traffic network, but it seems kind of odd with a lot of density.
Okay. Staff care to respond?
Chair, members of the commission, Charles Bloom, Planning and Development Director. York is actually shown as a minor collector as it heads out through the Harmony Valley development. And so is the northern portion of, or the southern portion of Cribben as approaches Allison. And there's also another minor collector that essentially comes up Grand Harmony Boulevard and meanders its way to the north to provide some additional connectivity through that neighborhood up to Allison. So there are two minor collectors that are designed to intercept and disperse traffic in that area.
Thank you. Any further questions or comments, commissioners, for staff? Hearing none. I'll now open this hearing up for public comment. Are there any members of the public that want to offer comment or ask questions? Public comment going once, going twice. Public comment is closed. I'm now looking for a motion, or I guess discussion that would lead to a motion from the commission.
I move to approve the rezoning of 14.47 acres of land northwest of and adjacent to the intersection of Watershield Boulevard and Allison Road to NR3 Neighborhood Residential High Density as shown in the attached zone change map, noting that the project meets the review criteria for approval.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded. Any discussion by the commission or proposed amendments? Discussion? Hearing none. Will staff please call roll?
Bob Mathia,
Aye.
Tony Laird,
Aye.
Lonnie Olson,
Aye.
Megan Connor,
Aye.
Mr. Chair, that motion passes.
Okay, thank you. Will staff please read item F into the record?
Item F, PUDC 26-34 Sweetgrass PUD amendment.
Okay, thank you. I note in the packet that this, I believe this is postponed, or it is slated for postponement.
Mr. Chair, Connerway Planning and Development Department, yes. I don't know if we want to let if the applicant wants to speak, they can. But yes, the recommendation is for postponement of this item to the April 6th Planning Commission meeting.
Do we have an applicant present who might want to?
Mr. Chair, through you, yes. Mr. Palma is online.
Okay, well, with that.
Good evening, Chair. Can you all hear me?
Yes, Mr. Palma.
This is Casey Palma, Palma Land Planning Agent for the owner. We did request postponement of this. We had not mailed the notice to all the landowners. There's about 350 in and around Sweetgrass that need notified. And we also are just kind of making sure with staff that we have all the nuances of this amendment kind of buttoned up before we came to you. So we hope to have everything sorted out and come back to you next month and have this all ready to go.
Okay, thank you. Does the commission want to ask any questions of an applicant that's seeking postponement? Hearing none. Staff here to provide a report.
Mr. Chair, members of the Commission, Connerway Planning Development Department, as the applicant mentioned, they didn't meet the requirement for mail notice, and then staff is working through just review and comments. So this does give us a little bit more time to do that, to make sure everything is kind of all in order before we bring it back to you in April. So staff does recommend the postponement of this item.
And for the record, that would be April 6th.
Mr. Chair, through you, yes. April 6th Planning Commission.
Okay, thank you. Do I need to open this up to public comment? Okay. With that, I'm looking for, I guess, either questions from from the commission or a motion?
Mr. Chair,
Commissioner Laird?
I've lost the screen. I
Commissioner Laird, you just lost the floor also. Did I hear
Okay.
Commissioner Olson?
Chair, if
Yes.
Commissioner Laird wants to make the motion, he can. I think we were both shooting for the same thing.
Well, you've got the floor now, Commissioner
Okay,
Olson.
well, Chair, I move to postpone this item to the April 6th, 2026 Planning Commission meeting.
Okay, thank you. Do I have a second?
Second.
Okay, seconded by Commissioner Mathey. Will staff please call roll? Or I guess, is there any discussion? Hearing none, will staff please call roll?
Lonnie Olson,
Aye.
Megan Connor,
Aye.
Tony Laird,
Aye.
Bob Mathia.
Aye.
Mr. Chair, that motion passes.
Thank you. And did I need a roll call on that?
That works.
Will
As long as we get
staff,
people voting.
yes, will staff please read item G into the record?
Item G, PUDC 26-36, Frank Court vacation.
Okay, thank you. Do we have an applicant here to present this?
Mr. Chair, staff is the applicant.
Okay. Well, will staff please present their report?
Mr. Chair, members of the commission, Connor White, Planning and Development Department. So the application before you is a street vacation. The UDC does allow staff to petition city council basically to vacate streets. We do go through planning commission first. But basically this is a staff petition to do the vacation. Little context, this is east of North College Drive and north of Rock Spring Street. Zoning and future land use doesn't really matter for a street, but we do have it on here. Just showing kind of adjacent zones. This will give you a better idea of the location though, and what we're talking about. You may remember that I want to say it was January, maybe. We had the preliminary plat for Dry Creek Vistas. One of the conditions on there was that the applicant provide staff with a vacation map to basically vacate all of Frank Court, as they would like to plat that into the adjacent properties to the east. But they were not able to get signatures from all property owners that have basically a vested interest in the vacation. So with that, basically staff is able to petition and vacate streets without signatures. With this vacation, it is getting rid of a street that is basically used as a driveway for two homes. The property that is at the southwest corner, I did find out they do use this as basically access to their rear garage, but with the vacation, the land that they're probably using to get in there does become theirs. So they are getting half that street basically as their own property, as well as there is an easement, access easement on the east side that is being provided. And then the property that is at the northeast, that's at the end of the street, that's basically their large driveway getting into their house. So it is an undeveloped street. It is unpaved, but it is city right away that the city is required to maintain. And we're basically maintaining it for two people. There is no proposed connection for this road in the future to go north. We do have Dry Creek right there. So staff does believe that the vacation of this street, it wouldn't harm anything to do that. Half the street, basically once you get north of that southwest property, the northern kind of half will go to the apartment complex that's to the west. And then the land to the east gets split between the parcels that are adjacent to it on the east side. There will be a future platting action for the final plat that will come back before you. That is actually slated for next month. That would be for the parcels to the east that we had that preliminary plat for. This vacation also does vacate and kind of clean up a southern alley that's at that west or southwest corner. The north part of that alley, I believe, was vacated with a different action, but they didn't get the southern half. So this is cleaning that up as well. But through the review, city staff didn't have any concerns with the vacation of the street. It does have the proper easements. I believe we do have a couple of conditions on this that are basically conditions for ourselves, just to get the map cleaned up a little bit. So we are working with the applicant for Dry Creek Vistas to get that map cleaned up and those conditions fulfilled. One of those is there is a BOPU main that stubs into the southwest portion of Frank Court. So BOPU would like an easement over that main, or they'd like it basically removed and capped. Being we're doing the vacation, we're just going to request the easement at this time. So BOPU has access still to that main if they need to. And then the other, I think there might have been one more condition that was like a technical correction, but that's really what we have for conditions. With that, staff does recommend approval of the vacation with conditions as listed in the staff report. I am available for any questions.
Does the commission have any questions for staff? Commissioner Mathia?
Mr. Chairman, through you, it seemed like one of those two houses up there, they didn't really want it to be vacated. What happened there?
Mr. Chair, through you, we haven't had any comments from the neighbors about not wanting it vacated. I did have a question from that southwest property owner that did contact me. That's how I've kind of figured out they use it for their garage. He contacted me after he got the letter, just wanting to know, is he still going to be able to access his garage? So I did let him know that yes, he will. He will have basically, you've got the access easement to the east side of the vacation, but then also he's going to own the land on the west side. So he will have access to his garage. Otherwise, I haven't heard anything from either property owner to the west stating that they don't want it to be vacated. I think the apartment complex, they didn't really care. They're not going to use it. So they didn't really have a stake in whether or not it got vacated or not. So I haven't had anybody who has said they didn't, because the property owners to the east, it's one property owner and they would like it vacated. The two to the west, neither one has specified that they don't want it vacated. It was more just the one question of, can I still access my property?
Okay, and thank you. I think you addressed what was going to be my question is if there has been any actual conversation with the occupant of the house to the north on the east side of it. Okay. Any other questions for comment or any other questions for staff?
Ms. Chair, I guess for your question, again, the property owner that's to the northeast, that house at the very end is the same property owner as the larger parcel to the southeast. So
and we may hear
they're wanting it to be vacated.
Yes. Any other questions for staff from the commission?
Mr. Chair, through you.
Commissioner Laird.
I probably need to ask Connor to explain again the easement that's going to help serve that garage to that property on the very south end to the west. So they're acquiring half of the original road right of way, the 30 feet. But then in addition to that, they're going to get an easement on most of the rest of the eastern side. Is that necessary to have that access easement if they've got 20 or a new 30 feet of property that they're going to own?
Mr. Chair, through you. So the reason for that easement on the east side is actually to provide access to the lot to the very northeast, the house that's at the end of the street. So basically that easement is really for them, but it is a full access easement. So it technically would provide access for the southwest property as well. Do they necessarily need it? No, because they are owning 30 feet of the road that's already there. So they can use that 30 feet, but I just kind of made it as a statement that there will also be an access easement on the other side, but that access easement is generally for the property that's at the end of the street on the northeast side.
Did that answer your question, Commissioner
Yeah.
Laird?
Yes, thank you.
And that raised another question for me. Is there any other attorney that has looked at this and the notion of having an access easement serving a parcel that is owned by the same owner as the person with the access easement? I guess what I'm concerned about, and this is my day job, even though it's not my expertise, aren't we setting this up for having to figure out an easement later because the ownership of both the dominant and servient estate extinguishes the easement? Has this, if we're counting on there being an easement to replace the right of way, and the two houses, the two parcels or the parcels on the east side are all under a single ownership, does that not mean the easement we're talking about is going to go away as soon as it is recorded?
Mr. Chair, this is Seth Lloyd of the Planning and Development Department. The common law doctrine of merger and in regards to easements and access easements and the like generally does not apply to platted subdivisions. This property will be going through a plat, and the easement will be on the face of the plat. That's case law from states as varied as Idaho and West Virginia. Sorry, Virginia, not West Virginia. Also, Pennsylvania has been doing that since the 1910s, apparently. So I don't know if it's been challenged in the state of Wyoming specifically, but the general rule is that if you're doing a subdivision and an easement is shown on the subdivision of land, the doctrine of merger does not apply, and you'd have to vacate or extinguish the easement via a platting action or whatever action the county or city or governing body determines is necessary to remove plat elements.
Okay, thank you. I'll trust you on that one. It's just a concern. Any other questions? I'll open this up to the public. Is there anybody from the public that wishes to comment on this? Going once, going twice, public comment is closed. Do we have a motion from the commission? Comment that would, a discussion that might help formulate a motion? Chair is looking for a motion.
I move to approve the vacation of Frank Court north of Rock Springs Street and alley west of Frank Court as shown on the attached vacation map, noting that the project meets the review criteria for approval with conditions.
Got a motion. Do I have a second?
Second.
Thank you. It's been moved and seconded by Commissioner Laird, correct? Okay.
Yes.
Do we have any discussion by the commission? Any comments, proposed amendments? Hearing none. Staff, please call roll.
Tony Laird,
Aye.
Megan Connor,
Aye.
Lonnie Olson,
Aye.
Bob Mathia.
Aye.
Mr. Chair, the motion passes.
Okay, thank you. And will staff please read item H into the record?
Item H is PLTA 26-1, special use approvals, creation of the regional entertainment overlay and development standards for off-track betting facilities, text amendment.
Thank you. And I believe this is also the city. Will staff please read a report, or it looks like explain the postponement?
Chair, members of the commission, Charles Bloom, Planning and Development Director. This is a proposed Unified Development Code text amendment that really tackles 6 different sections of our Unified Development Code. I was optimistic when I placed it on the agenda because we have wanted to get this on the agenda, and then other tasks moved ahead, which sort of set this aside from being completed. Right now, what it is targeting is revisions to our special use permit process. Right now, that is really set up for oil and gas exploration, and it was primarily developed before the Unified Development Code. So it just doesn't fold in very well. It refers to the governing body as the governing body, which is appropriate. However, the rest of the UDC refers to the governing body as city council. So some things are just aligning that. Other things are making it less oil and gas exploration only. So it would be able to be used for other types of items that maybe should be considered at the level beyond the volunteer appointed basis. One of those such items is historic horse racing, which is looking at trying to find avenues where we can have more local control at the elected level instead of local control here at the volunteer level. As part of this, staff envisions those amendments to really get that special use approval process up to snuff and a little bit able to be more broadly applied. But also it's looking at creating an entertainment overlay district that would be in select areas of the community that would essentially welcome and usher those in, where they might be best for regional connectivity, for revenue, and those types of items. We can anticipate those would be in areas where we would like to see entertainment uses occur, possibly the Reed Rail corridor, interstate interchanges, those types of items. In addition, looking to establish development standards for off-track betting facilities and an approval process for areas that might not be in those overlay districts. We are fairly early in the process, and we do anticipate that we will have a good draft that is ready for presentation starting in April, and that will at least garner some discussion where we will at least start moving down that pathway. So I don't have any questions here, except I'm just going to note that we're requesting postponement. It's not possible to approve anything today because there's nothing presented. So we'll just continue to preserve the notice that was given. And I should note, as this does come forward, we are not intending to leave all of the historic horse racing facilities that we have in the community in the dark. They all have a plethora of lights, so we'll be sure to let them know of these proceedings as we move forward.
Okay, thank you. Any questions for staff before I ask for a motion? Hearing none. Chair is looking for a motion on the recommendation to postpone.
I move to postpone this item to the April 6th, 2026 Planning Commission meeting.
Okay, I've got a motion. Do I have a second?
I'll second.
It's been seconded by Commissioner Olson, or moved by Commissioner Laird, seconded by Commissioner Olson. Any discussion of the motion on the table? Hearing none, will staff please call roll?
Megan Connor,
Aye.
Bob Mathia,
Aye.
Lonnie Olson,
Aye.
Tony Laird.
Aye.
Mr. Chair, that motion passes.
Thank you. We're to other business and staff announcements.
Chair, members of the commission, Charles Bloom, Planning and Development Director. I don't have any real large announcements that we have regarding activities in the department. We do not have a mid-month planning commission meeting scheduled for this mid-month, so enjoy that day off. If you'd like, we will be having our active transportation advisory committee meeting that day, and they'll probably be located up in room 208. They are presently working on revising our bicycle lane and multi-use trails map. This is the same map that we had at different events, which shows where people can use active transportation in our community to get from point A to point B. and occasionally point C. So they're working on completing that. ATAC is very interested in making sure they can get this information out to members of the public. One of the next steps envisioned is them to do an audit on what the map shows right now to identify barriers that may have been introduced or areas where they're just not quite working or working the way they were initially designed back in 2012. So stay tuned. We'll continue to keep you all in the loop on that. The last item I have is that we hope to have our comprehensive plans RFP out for consultants to peruse at the beginning of next week or early next week. That process is envisioned to be an 18-month process to put this together. It is really that plan that's going to look at land use. We have put together a lot of parameters that are based on pressing issues that we keep seeing rise around us. Like, for example, data center inquiries, data center development. How does that reflect with lands that are easier to develop for residential use? What do we want to see for development of low-hanging fruit lands? And by low-hanging fruit, I mean lands that are close to existing infrastructure, cheaper to develop. So these are all some policies we're looking at having looked at in this planning document, as well as some of our general ideas and requirements as street sections, street standards, some development requirements and processes.
And will this be the document that we get to try to address the removal of such a large portion of our projected residential land for, was it Cosmo? Was that the one when we pulled out several square miles worth of projected residential for non-residential use? And we've not really figured out where that's going to go.
Chair, through to the commission. Yes, that's correct. This is the one that will result in essentially a recommendation for a land use plan. The intent right now, although it's early, we're welcome to consultant guidance, is for this plan to develop our recommended or the path forward where we want to go with our land use plan. And then we'll have our independent document that we will adopt as the planning commission and governing body, and also include the county concurrence as necessary. But yes, it will.
Okay, and does active transportation map include horseback?
Chair, through you, unfortunately, it does not include horseback. And I wonder if equestrian usage is actually active transportation. I guess you have to kick and pull the reins. Oh, yes. But it does not. Short answer, does not.
Mr. Chair, Connerway Planning and Development Department. Just as a note, you all should have received a new copy of the UDC. Make sure you use the second version that I had sent out, not the first. The first had some text in there that has not come before you yet. In blue and red, an entire section. Our engineering staff member isn't here, I don't think, anymore, but it is their section of code. But I have it basically already prepped and in the UDC for when that does come forward. It makes my life easier when we get to the point of adoption. I forgot to pull it out though when I saved the final copy. So you all should have a new version. And then next month, expect another large agenda. I think we're at 8 items for next month at this time. Could add more if we get more zone changes in the next week. But right now we are sitting at about, I think, 8 items for that agenda with these postponements. So please be prepared for another large agenda. Please try to attend so we have a quorum. Again, these are mostly applicant items, not staff items. So applicants would like their projects to move forward on a timely manner. Other than that, I have no further announcements.
Okay, with that, do I have a motion for adjournment?
Mr. Chair, through you,
Commissioner Laird?
In lieu of that, I wondered if I could ask if Director Bloom had any legislative updates he wanted to share with us.
Well, thank you.
Chair, members of the commission, and Commissioner Laird, that is a great reminder. Yes, I do have legislative updates. This morning, shortly after 8:00 a.m., Dr. Mark Rainey, who's a council member, was testifying in front of the Senate Corporations Committee regarding what I believe is House Bill 76. That was the one regarding an annexation, and essentially it said if a area, an enclave, is surrounded by the annexing municipality by 75% or more, that it would allow for anyone within that area to protest, and if 50% of the residents and property owners within that area by quantity of land and by population, if they protest, it would have immediately ceased any and all annexation activity for 2 years. Essentially, it would stop an annexation process if there was a majority protest, with 75% or more surrounded by a jurisdiction. That bill did not pass, did not get out of the Senate today. Another item that did fail, and this was on Friday, I don't have the number exactly in front of me, but it was a Senate file which was in regards to changes to the protest vote provisions of state statute. Holland Court and the rezoning up there is still pretty fresh in everyone's memory, where a neighborhood filed protest and it triggered a super majority vote or 3/4 vote of the governing body for it to be approved. When we have 10 members of a governing body, it would have required 8 affirmative votes for it to approve. This proposed amendment, it changed the ability to protest for the area to a little bit larger, but it still had an adjacency clause. So you had to be adjacent and up to 300 feet. So it sort of gave a little bit more weight for property owners that had larger tracts of land. Generally, those folks don't protest. It's the smaller ones that protest. It also changed the threshold to just a supermajority vote, so 2/3, which would have changed the way our governing body does business by only requiring 7 affirmative votes to pass something with protest. This was a piece of legislation that we ultimately wish was just gone and not there, but we would have liked to see this baby step in that direction, but it did not make it out of committee last Friday. This morning, I do believe that stormwater, there's legislation regarding stormwater. That one has officially been assigned an interim topic that will be studied by a subcommittee over the summer before the next session. So that will be back, but it is an interim topic. That stormwater legislation essentially said any stormwater fee, tax, you name it, any way you can say money is going towards a jurisdiction, it would have required it to be approved by the voters in November, or prior to, actually it was prior to any of those fees or taxes or whatever being enacted. And then it required that anyone with existing fees in place, like the city of Cheyenne, the city of Laramie, I believe the city of Green River is the one who also has it, that they would have had to have a vote in November of this year to see if citizens wanted to continue it. That bill failed, and that's going to go to continued study. We will see it again. That discussion is not watered down the drain. It's continuing to pool up. The other items that we've been watching is what's called the Fifth Amendment, the protection of the Fifth Amendment, I believe. Seth, have you seen anything on that recently? Basically, this is targeted at Jackson. And what it says is that no governing body can essentially require inclusionary housing. So a requirement that with a commercial or residential development, you have to pay into a land bank, a fund, or provide affordable housing for the community. So that was one that it's targeted at Jackson. I do not know how that turned out. I haven't looked at it recently. The one thing I've been watching is it worded in a way that prohibited with industrial development, which is more of our concern. Not that we're proposing any of that right now, but it was a concern. Would that be off the table? And it did not apply to industrial development. The other final bill is House Bill 2, which has a corresponding Senate file, another Senate one that's been introduced for concurrence. That was the first bill filed and is appropriately deemed the fast track permits bill. It's sponsored by local representative Lee Filer, and that one made it through the House, and there was a concurrent bill that was going through the Senate. And I've been so busy with other things that I have not taken the last couple of days to see where that one stands, but I believe it was introduced. I believe it was referred to committee. Oh, it was introduced. It was referred to committee, and it came out of committee on last week. I was at the hearing. I think it was Thursday morning. So it'll probably be finalized and have its last 2 readings. Well, it's 3 readings in front of the Senate, and that will probably be passed. I believe that's all we were really monitoring. Seth, is there anything that you can recall, or any other details or things you may know? We've all been a little bit busy with other tasks recently that have had us looking other directions. All right, that's all I have. Thank you for the reminder. I should add that to every agenda during a legislative session.
Okay, thank you. Any other questions, comments, requests for staff announcements? Hearing none, I'm still looking for a motion to adjourn.
I move to adjourn.
Second? I guess I don't need a second to a motion to adjourn. The meeting is adjourned.